Thank you, and thank you for coming, Mr. Liddy. I know you're not doing this for the money. You make $1 a year. You're trying to help your country in a very difficult time, and you relied on people, both at the Fed and the Treasury, to try to help you succeed in that job, which is why I'm going to try to reconcile much of what we're seeing today with how my constituents view this. I come from Michigan. It has the highest unemployment rate in the country. They quite simply think it is thoroughly insane to pay people to stay in a job when they can't find one. They think it is insane for the people who helped cause the problem to be paid for causing the problem, and then have them turn around and have to be paid to clean it up. They think that is not only insane, it is unfair. They think it is insane for people to say that we need the best and the brightest to fix this problem when it was the best and the brightest who caused the problem in the first place. As I have said before, if these individuals are the best and the brightest, we live in benighted times, and God help us all. I think one of the things that we have to remember is these individuals have jobs for one reason. The taxpayers decided to bail them out. Well, not the taxpayers, but their representatives in government when they voted for the Wall Street bailout, and the individuals at the Federal Reserve Board when they decided to start the process. So when they look at this, they say to themselves, we'd really like the money back that's given out in bonuses. And credit to you, you've already started that process. You've talked about 50% coming back. I personally don't know that the 50% is going to be enough for them. I know it isn't for me. They would like full restitution in their mind of money that was given to people who caused the problem and don't deserve another penny for cleaning up their mess. You said that you have not asked for the access to the $30 billion that the Treasury has committed to AIG. Am I correct?
Yes.
I would like to see Secretary Geithner repeal that commitment to that $30 billion and then precondition any allowing of that money to go to AIG on first recouping the bonuses from the individuals who have done it. And I do think it would be in their best interest, not only of the taxpayers in terms of equity, but as has been pointed out before, there will be transparency in the process. The request and potential subpoena of the list of individuals who have received and kept that money will come to this Congress because the taxpayers will need to know. I do think and appreciate the threats that may be made against them and have been made, but there is a very good way to get one's name off the list. It is to give back the bonus to the taxpayers of the United States. I think that when you made this decision, I can't believe that you made it alone. I think you would have consulted with both Treasury or the Federal Reserve Board. We talk about how losing these people would have caused AIG potentially to go under, right? Enormous damage to AIG towards the attempt at a soft landing, which to me in and of itself shows the very weakness of AIG and why we can't continue to try to effectuate a soft landing, because you've said that market conditions are going to dictate over the next year or two as to how soft that landing will be. It will also require a whole bunch more federal money, I would think, in that 1 to 2 years until the market, quote unquote, corrects. Because I think what you've done, not you specifically, but you generally, both you and the government, is you mistake why the public has no confidence right now in the economy. We think that if consumers just woke up and decided that we're seeing signs of light, that potentially I could go out and spend some of my hard-earned nest egg, that we would stimulate consumer demand and everything would be fine. But the reason that we are having this discussion today is Americans believe that we have seen institutional failures, both in our economic sphere and right now in the government sphere because of a failure to be good stewards of their money. And until that institutional confidence is restored in the minds of the American people, there will be no recovery in the next 1 to 2 years. If we continue down the path that institutions that were once deemed too big to fail continue to prove too big to fix and cost taxpayers billions of dollars at a time when they are struggling to keep their homes, their jobs, and their hopes for their children, they will have no institutional confidence in anything. And we will continue on the path that we're on. So my question to you is, if we can recover, hypothetically, within the next 1 to 2 year frame that you talk about, how much would it potentially cost the taxpayers to keep injecting into AIG during the next 1 to 2 years to have that soft landing? Because as we found out on March 2nd, I think AIG reported the largest quarterly loss in corporate history, with $61.7 billion, and then promptly receive an offer of $30 billion, which you've not drawn upon. If we continue on the path we're on for the next 1 to 2 years, how much money are the taxpayers going to be asked to continue to put into AIG?
Let me see if I can respond to your question, sir. As I mentioned earlier, we have roughly $80 billion invested from the taxpayer through Treasury and the Federal Reserve into AIG, with a call on another $30 billion if we need it. The comment about soft landing really applies to the book of business at AIG FP. It's its own little, not so little, unique world of derivatives trading and hedges, et cetera, et cetera. And to a certain extent, it works, I'm going to say, independently of what's going on in the capital markets. That's a simplification. It's clearly aligned to them, but it works differently. My comment about the markets having to help us is we have good businesses to sell, really good businesses to sell, but people have no money to buy them. So the price mechanism is that which equates. So we have a great business in Southeast Asia. But the companies that want to buy that business don't have equity. Their equities are down 70%. They don't have access to the capital markets, to liquidity markets. So as a result of that, the values are depressed. What we don't want to do is sell good assets at fire sale prices and then not have enough proceeds to be able to repay the Federal Reserve and Treasury. I do not anticipate asking the federal government for more money. I'd like it very much if we didn't have to draw on the $30 billion. And I'd like to give you a guarantee that that's exactly what will happen. I can't do that because my crystal ball is not that good, and I do not know what's going to happen with the value of assets. You're 100% correct. We reported a very large loss, the largest in corporate history in the fourth quarter, and 3 things drove it. When the value of assets goes down, we have to write those assets down, and we have to recognize that loss in our P&L. That's 30 of that $60 billion. Because we're restructuring the company, we write off things like deferred tax assets because we think they're valueless. It wasn't a cash loss. It was a loss that had to do with the restructuring of the company. I don't believe that it will reoccur again. I certainly hope not, but it will very much be dependent upon what happens to the value of assets going forward.
I used my 5 minutes. I just want to know why you asked for why the Treasury gave him $30 billion if he didn't need it.
Oh, they always do that. They always do that.
The indulgence, the Chairman. If the loss was as you say, and I'm not disputing that, why did Treasury then make available another $30 billion, which you've not drawn down upon?
When you lose that money, it reduces the equity that the company has. Think of a home. You need so much equity to support the debt. We have all the debt, but the equity shrunk because of the loss. So as a result of that, the Treasury restructured the TARP arrangement, the original TARP arrangement, in such a way that accounted for more equity and made the $30 billion available to us if we needed it. That kept the rating agencies calm so they don't downgrade the company and we don't get into an extraordinarily negative spiral.